Hi everyone. So this next workshop is going to dive into one of the hottest topic that everyone is talking about. Our second workshop of the day, exploring opportunities of blockchain and creating your own cryptocurrency. And this will take a closer look at the field and offer some answers into the big question. Is blockchain technology a fad or here to stay? So please join me in welcoming Liang Wong, Chief Technology Officer and co-founder of Propine, as well as Fong, Director of Marketing and Partnerships at Propine. So over to you, Ian.
Hi, Amos. How are you? Hi, guys. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. I know it's Saturday, but I try to make it as exciting as possible. So today, my name is Ian Fong. I'm from Propine. So I'm going to present, of course, what are the opportunities of blockchain, and my colleague Zan, who's the CTO of Propine, will be presenting the second part of it, which is creating how to create your own cryptocurrency. So before that, let's go on to a little bit of self-goyo, meaning basically is that, what is our company all about? So Propine is a regulated, hyper-secure, one-stop digital assets ecosystem provider. We are established in 3 years ago, 2018, and we are the first fully regulated independent digital asset custody service provider to be granted the CMS license by our MAS, and is also the only digital asset custodian globally with an ISO 27001 certification. So our solutions, basically, we have two buckets of solutions. We provide investment banking solutions as well as asset management solutions, which is another word, it's a crypto solution, crypto custody solutions. So I'm not going to bore you with that. So if you're interested, you can go to our website, which is www.propine.com, and to find out a little bit more. So let's not waste any more time, but let's go on to the topic. So is blockchain the future, or is it just a fad? So I think a lot of people, you may be wondering that currently there's so much talk about cryptocurrency, especially, and also NFTs. So, Bitcoin, the price has been going up quite considerably, as well as another cryptocurrency, which is Ethereum. I think today it almost hit 60,000 USD for Bitcoin, and it has exceeded 2,000 USD for Ethereum. So, but what's more important here is not this topic that I'm going to talk about today is not about whether should you invest on Bitcoin or not. It is about the technology behind the blockchain. Is blockchain the future, or is it just a fad? So it is a common misconception, especially for most, that you realize that they equate blockchain and cryptocurrencies are the same thing. To be honest, they are not. They are interconnected, but there's a huge difference between them. So blockchain is a technology. I'll keep it very simple. Blockchain is technology, whereas cryptocurrency is digital money. Cryptos are just one ways in which blockchain technology can be used. Okay, and so what is actually blockchain? I will go a little bit further. So blockchain, a technology system of recording information in a way that makes it difficult or impossible to change, hack, or cheat the system. So if you realize that this is the technology behind the cryptocurrency, okay? And the other thing is, what is cryptocurrency? So cryptocurrency is a digital or virtual currency that is secured by cryptography, which makes it nearly impossible to counterfeit or double spend, right? So now we have, and if you want to find out more, of course, you can just Google, and you can have a lot of definition. You can find a lot of definition of what is blockchain and cryptocurrency. But a lot of times but as I mentioned today, we're not talking about cryptocurrency, but what it's the blockchain, the technology behind, and how it actually, whether is it a fad or is there a future if, let's say, you were to have a career in this field, all right? So the answer is very simple. Blockchain is the future, and it is not a fad. Okay, the reason is because that it has shown that there's so many real cases that have been happening, and there are a lot of benefits that has been transpired, okay, from this technology. So what are the examples of actually, let's take a look at some of the examples. So the real world application, there's so many. Okay, I just can't emphasize enough. There are just so many, but I'll just go through a few. These are some of the top 10s of my favorite. So it ranges from capital markets to digital IDs to digital voting, and of course copyrights and royalty protection. Let's go through in detail each and every one. So the first one, of course, we talk about capital markets. So capital markets is, through blockchain technology, it provides an effective capital raising platform through the application of smart contracts. Okay? So just like our business, Propine's business, we have a custodial service that consists of a state-of-the-art technology agnostic platform that supports both public and private blockchains. So blockchain is a type of distributed ledger technology and is the building block of Internet of Value that enables the recording of interactions and transfer of value, such as money, securities, land titles, and etc., peer-to-peer without a need of a centrality coordinating entity. Okay, so that's one, and it has been happening. So the capital markets, a lot of banks, a lot of are using our, and also customers that are using our solutions. Okay, the second one we talk about is supply chain management. I think one very good example here is a very recent example. It's this Canadian blockchain startup called DLT Labs. They have actually providing blockchain freight solution in Canada for Walmart. I'm sure you guys know Walmart. Okay, is one of the biggest, store in the US. So they are actually using this Canadian blockchain startup. And why is it important? So that they can track accurate or they can have accurate identification of the location of these items on the supply chain. So it removes all the need for paper-based trails. It helps prevent losses and monitor the quality of products while in production. Next one. Okay, so this is a huge project by Microsoft. They actually their aim is to be able to link all the 1 billion people worldwide that doesn't have identity and to a formal financial sector, and they actually developing this authenticator app. Okay, so this authenticator doesn't just use a password, it uses an extra layer of protection that uses a code or a token to identify a returning user or device. And why is it important? So that it is for government service. So digital identities are very important because you can log in to retrieve money, especially like given out during pandemic. So if it is very important to have such a secure digital IDs. So this is one huge project that has been going on. Next will be, so this is the digital IDs as what I mentioned to you, but based on health. Okay, so you can also look at, in the health sector, we actually have the privacy and security of health data which are being monitored. So instead of having a paper-based kind of system to have all these registration, so you actually have a blockchain kind of technology, okay, to actually support this. Oh, sorry. This is the interesting one. I've actually been monitoring them. If you are a sports fan, especially for this example, it's if you are a football sort of fan, like maybe an AC Milan or a Barcelona fan. Basically, this company called a Chillist, they actually offer fan engagement tokens that focus on sports and esports. What it gives is it gives fans the ability to vote on decisions such as whom the football club plays during the friendlies, for example. You can vote that, and this actually, but of course, this kind of engagement, it takes a different level of fan engagement. So basically, it's usually, if you are a football fan, you just watch TV, which is a one-way kind of like traffic. And sometimes you may just write, emails to them and ask for them, but normally it's not answered. So this is one way that you can engage with them, definitely a much more, a better way. Okay, the most recent one, which is the crypto collectible NFTs. I think this has been huge, okay, just as Bitcoin has been such in awareness lately. This NFTs also has been. I think a Singaporean by the name of Vignesh Sundrasan, he actually bought this Beeple art, which is an NFT, for 69 USD million. So again, this is one of the blockchain technology to enable NFTs, which is non-fungible tokens. Okay, the next will be food safety. Yes, so food safety is another example. This is because remember just now I said the supply chain you can track. So you can also track to trace your food from its origin to your plate. One very good example is, which is a working example, is now the blue Korinji coffee in Indonesia. And they use actually the Imargo traceability solution based on Cardano cryptocurrency. Okay, I'm going to finish very soon. So the other one is digital voting. One of the recent example is Japan's Tsukuba city. They use blockchain for voting because it is almost impossible to have a double voting or a double count in voting. So this is actually, again, a very good application. Blockchain in firearms, as you know that I think especially in the US, there's always been pro-gun, pro-not-gun, or even like governments selling countries selling guns to other countries. So through blockchain, you can actually trace that, and you will have a transparent registry so you can keep the records of weapons sold effectively. And finally, the last one is copyright and health royalty protection. So if you can see that, why blockchain is important, because of its that you can't actually make any changes without being realized. So therefore, copyright and ownership of laws on this MTVs, music and videos will actually provide real-time through this technology and authentically royal distribution data to content creators as well as musicians. So it helps them actually not to lose money through illegal downloading. Okay. So, and with that, I will pass on the baton now to my colleague Zan to give you the second session of our today's presentation, which is creating how to create cryptocurrency. Zan, over to you.
Right, thank you. So just 1 second while we transfer the control over to me. So thank you everyone for joining this workshop. My name is Zan and I'm the co-founder of the company Propine. So what I'm going to do here to share a little bit about how do we create your own cryptocurrency on the blockchain. So this is going to be a hands-on workshop. I'm going to show some code, although it's in this medium, it's not going to be very easy to show a lot of code. So I'm going to capture the main points and hope that you can learn enough at the end of the session to know how is cryptocurrency represented and how do you actually interact with the blockchain, which is not that difficult. All right, so let's move on to the next slide. So what is a token? Very good question. So how do you actually implement a token on a blockchain? So a token actually is a representation of something on a blockchain. So it can be your Mona Lisa painting, it can be your property, it could be even your car, or even shares in the company, anything with value. And by representing things as tokens, we actually open up the gates to a whole new world. It's like you can suddenly interact with them, exchange them, create or even destroy them. And you can actually add programmable logic to these assets, which is not possible before the blockchain. So there's a new world of possibilities that is now opened up, and I'm sure that the world will catch up to them, just like when the internet was first invented. So how do you actually create tokens? So on the blockchain, a token is actually represented as a smart contract. So whenever when you exchange or you create tokens, you're actually calling functions on a smart contract that performs a representation of that action. So for example, when we mint a token, you're actually calling a smart contract to change a variable called total supply. That I want to change the total supply from 0 to 100, and then that's it. And so it's as simple as that. It's a program that lives on a blockchain live, and you can have data on it. You can call functions and actions on it that sort of mimics the behavior of a real life token that you see in the real world. So that's how you create tokens. So I'm going to show you an example of a screenshot of a real smart contract, a token smart contract on the Ethereum blockchain, which is called Theta. So this is how it represents. That's how it works. You can see on the blockchain where you can see the smart contract seller symbol, how much the value is, the total supply, and the transactions that goes through this smart contract. All right. So that's one representation. Of course, there are many different blockchains, but we chose Ethereum because it's the most mature. The ecosystem is the most common and the easiest to demonstrate certain key concepts. All right. So let's move on to token standards. So Ethereum has different token standards. One, of course, the most famous of that is ERC20, which are for the fungible assets. So a token standard means a set of interfaces it defines a few standard interfaces so that people have a common way to talk to each other. So for example, ERC20 will define the total supply, will define how do you transact tokens, how should the parameter inside look like. So if you have a standardized function interface, pretty much smart contracts can talk to each other, and then you can build even like multi-layer smart contracts that talk with each other, that behaves like entities on their own. So that's the power of the smart contracts that you can see on the blockchain. And then there is the ERC721, which is related to non-fungible assets, where you cannot divide the asset, for example. I think it's like there's some collectibles that you cannot divide into pieces or fractionalize them. And so that's 721 that defines the interface for exchanging non-fungible assets. Then we have ERC777, which is a richer standard for fungible for ERC20, which it has interfaces such as minting or burning, which are related to the life cycle of a token. So that's a few examples of token standards. Of course, there are different standards in every blockchain. So let's move on to the main course of this workshop, which is how do you actually create a new token? At the end of this workshop, what we want to do is to write a smart contract. We want to deploy it on the Ethereum testnet, which is on Rinkeby, and using the following tools, which is Truffle Suite, and then Infura. And so what this workshop is I'm going to show you some code. I'm not going to show you some live examples because the blockchain is not very reliable. Sometimes we have to wait for 15 minutes to half an hour for a transaction to go through. So that's not realistic or practical in a workshop like this. So I'm going to do some screenshots that will show you the same thing. So what we are going to do here is set up Truffle. So Truffle is a suite of tools that's created by I forgot who's the team that created it. So it's a suite of tools that helps you to create smart contracts easily. So what we're going to do, so you can navigate to the link over here, which is right over here, trufflesuite.com, and see for the tools that you can for yourself. So there are a few tools. One is Truffle Suite. One is Ganesh, which is a local developmental blockchain node that lives on your machine. And then we have, I believe there is another tool for front-end React components that's offered by them. So what we're going to do here is on your command line, you have to run these commands. So we're assuming a Mac or Linux or even Windows setup. So on your command line or a shell, you should be running these commands. So npm init and npm install, save Truffle, and open Zeppelin contracts. So why do we need these two packages? Truffle is it comes off with the tooling and the project setup to help you get your project going very quickly. So Open Zeppelin provides many smart contracts that we will be building on top of. All right, so that's one. Next, so this is what it should look like on the terminal. So I don't have the terminal right now, but this is a screenshot of mine. It's a bit small, but you can see that there are certain actions going on after you run the command, like messages over there. And so this is what you should see when you run it. Next, the next step after installing Truffle is to init the project. So what you do is to run Truffle init. So I'm going to go against what Truffle recommended because I'm going to run the node modules. There's a command hidden inside node modules directly. So I'm going to run it directly because I generally is a habit of mine. I don't like to install node packages globally because it sort of clash. It's like a very bad practice. I don't like to install global commands unless I need to, especially for node package. So I'm going to initiate run the command locally. So I run it truffle init, which truffle would then create a skeleton set of files and directories on your local folder. So you should see a message like init successful and like that. So next one is the next step that you need to do is you should actually explore what truffle can do. So there are many commands that truffle offers, such as build, compile, or migrate. So I don't have enough screen estate to show you what the full truffle command is going to do. So you can run it and then you should see what command look like. So next is I'm going to create smart contract. So truffle can create a skeleton smart contract for you. So you can just do that by running this command called truffle create contract and then the name of a contract. So for this workshop, I'm going to call it new frontier token. So you're going to create a token, and then a new file should be created at the contracts folder called new frontier token.so. So what is this so thing that that you are seeing here? So stands for solidity. So it's a short form for solidity. Solidity is the language that you use for writing smart contracts. So solidity, as for me, it's a flavor of a language between JavaScript and C. So it feels like a marriage between the two. So it's familiar. It's not that foreign, and it's not that. You still need a learning curve, no matter what. So the documents are found here. It is in version 8.3 right now. We are also using smart contracts written by OpenZeppelin. So OpenZeppelin provides a lot of security audited smart contracts like ERC20. That most of the various implementations of standard ERC standards are written by OpenZeppelin. So we are going to build on top of what they have written, and this is the recommended practice in the industry actually. So I would advise, so you don't need to learn Solidity at a very deep level to get started. We're just going to go in right away. So next, this is the smart contract that Truffle has given us. It looks like this. So you have a few lines. Of course, the first line is a commented line. The second line is a pragma line, which states that the compiler version that is targeting. All right, so Solidity has many different versions, and if you don't find the right versions, it will break. And the compile errors can be rather cryptic. So I'm going to go with this, what they recommended here. And next, we define a contract. So so what we are doing here is a contract called new frontier token. Inside there is a constructor, a public constructor, which is empty. So next, what we're going to do here is we are going to create an ERC20 token. So an ERC20 token is a token standard that specifies a standard interface that tokens can interoperate. So I'm not going to bore you with the details over there. You can take a look at the link over here at ethereum.org. So what it defines are the function interfaces for these few things like total supply, balance of, transfer from, approve, and allowance. So transfer, you definitely need transfer and transfer from in order for different smart contracts to transfer tokens between each other. Approve and allowance are like security guards that prevents that adds a limit on the number of tokens that the transfer function can transfer. So that's the very basic interface that ERC20 exposes. And so what we're going to do is to build on top of this standard that OpenZeppelin has written, and then our cryptocurrency will be able to do these things as well. All right, so let's move on. So next is a very important step. We need to define the compiler version. So in my there's a configuration file which you should see truffle config.js right on your project root. You have to set the compiler version to 0.8.3 because the compiler that truffle comes with doesn't matches against the versions of that pragma line that we have shown you earlier. So it's best to just standardize to 8.3, all right? So let's do that. Then next is we are going to import the Open Zeppelin contracts. So you can see line 3 over here. There is the import line where we when we are going to import Open Zeppelin ERC20.so into our smart contract. And then at the next line, we will see that the contract itself is going to subclass from the ERC20 implementation that Open Zeppelin has written. And so what we're doing here in the next line, at the constructor line, is that we are going to name the ERC20 token as the new frontier token. And the symbol is called NFT. So it's as simple as that. All right, so ERC20 token smart contract is as simple as that. Because most of the heavy lifting is already done by Open Zeppelin. It's only when you need to customize certain functionality or add functionality that you can actually add functions below. So for the case of this workshop, we're not going to do that. We're going to just simply define an ERC20 token, and then deploy it to the Ethereum blockchain. All right. So next, I'm going to move on by compiling the smart contract itself. So you guess once you run the truffle compile command, the truffle is going to pull up the Ethereum compiler, the Solidity compiler, compile a smart contract, and you should see these messages over here. But it's going to be quite lengthy, so I'm only showing you the part of it. You should see it compile, and then if once compiled, you should see the build on your local folder. So next, I'm going to talk about something called a testnet. What is a testnet? So it's I'm not too sure if anybody heard of that. So a testnet is a test version of the blockchain. So for typically there's by convention we call the blockchain production as the mainnet, and the ones that's for testing for development is called testnet. And Ethereum has many of these. So Ethereum has a few of these running different testnets. So they serve different purposes. So as you know that Ethereum is moving to a different consensus algorithm. So in the past when it started, it's proof of work. That's where you have Robston. So you want a proof of work blockchain testnet, that's Robston. If you want a proof of SIG blockchain, that's the other ones. So there are many ones. If you want another different types of blockchain testnets, there are others. So you should target if you want to develop smart contracts and you want to target particular implementations of Ethereum, you have to select the right testnet to test it against. But for our case, it doesn't really matter because ours is a very generic blockchain contract, smart contract. So we do not need to target a specific one. For me, I would prefer anything other than Robston because Robston is very slow. So I'm going to use Rinkerby because that's what we tend to prefer doing our day-to-day work. All right. So I'm going to share with you what's Infura. So Infura is a company. It's at infura.io. So Infura actually is a very important player in the Ethereum ecosystem because it provides many tools that is like invaluable and it's almost like impossible not to use them. So what are the toolings that you have by Infura? That's Infura itself provides managed Ethereum nodes that you can use by simply registering for free at Infura. And then Infura also provides the MetaMask Chrome plugin, which can use to manage your Ethereum wallets. So what I'm going to do here is to show you how to register at Infura, roughly how it goes. But anyone should just be able to use that on your own. So why do you want to register at Infura? Because running an Ethereum node is not easy. It's not easy. You have to run a server. You have to wait for it to sync up with the blockchain transactions. It takes 3 days or more, and then you have to ensure that's running. You cannot run it on your local machine. You have to run it on server. That means you have to run it on the cloud. And to have the knowledge to do that is not going to be. It's not easy for the beginners to do it. And then you have to keep it in sync. And if it's out of sync, you have to kill the whole ledger again and then restart. So it's a lot of work, and I don't recommend people doing that on your first try. It's for professionals to do it, and the people in Imperial has done it for you, so you should just use them. All right. So once you register in Imperial, you should see the screen, and what we want to do is to create an Ethereum project. So next, you should select an Ethereum project and name it as the token that you want to do. And then after you create a project, you should see this screen, which is important for the next few steps of the project. You should see some settings, which is the endpoints, and you have to copy that. So that's your sort of your Ethereum, also your Infura API key. So next, we need to install another package called the HD Wallet Provider. Why do we need to do that? It's because we need to embed the password into our deployment script. So this is a sort of a package that will be used for this workshop, but you do not need, you should not, and I don't recommend that you embed your password in your code. So this is just for a workshop, right? So do not embed your password in the code. Do it in environment variables, right? So next is after you import the package in on your truffleconfig.js, you have to add this line to the top, which means that we are defining a variable called HD Wallet Provider from this for this package called HD Wallet Provider. All right. So next is we have to generate a mnemonic key. So a mnemonic key is a set of words a set of random words that will be used to generate the password for your private key. All right. So that's not to generate your private key, not the password to your private key. So there is a website at the link over here. You should just go in there and click generate, which you should see a bunch of words. Do not share those words with anyone else. All right. So next, you need to copy the random words that's generated onto your truffleconfig.js in a variable called it can be anything. So I call it mnemonic for the purpose of this workshop. Next, we want to deploy to the Rinkeby block testnet. So what we need to do is to configure it at truffleconfig.js again. You should find a commented clause for Robston, but you can just change it to Rinkeby. You have to name the provider as a new HD wallet provider. Mnemonic here is the variable that you defined earlier. So this one provides the password to that wallet, and then the next line is your Infura project ID. So you have to edit this line to include your Infura project ID. And then next is you have to set the network ID. So network ID is 4 for Rinkeby. I think it's 3 for Robston. So you have to change it here. So for the guests, you can use the figure that's already here, which is 550. Sorry. So I think it's a huge number. I think it's around 5 billion. So this is in Wei, which is naturally going to be a very big number over here. So confirmations means that you want Truffle to ensure that there are 2 confirmations from the blockchain before you deem the migration as a success. And then timeout blocks is like if 200 blocks have passed and the contract is not deployed, then we deem it as failed. So that's what the configurations actually mean. All right, so I'm moving on to the next screen. So next, very important, MetaMask. So MetaMask is a Chrome extension, or I'm sure there is a Firefox extension as well, that allows you to interact with your Ethereum wallets on the blockchain. It is very powerful, and you should definitely install it as if you're doing Ethereum development. So go on to metamask.io and install it. So after you install, you will be asked to you can actually import the mnemonic key that you have used earlier as the password for your Ethereum wallet. So you should install it here, and then you should get an Ethereum wallet. So next, what do you do with an empty wallet? You have to pass tokens in. So what you do here is to get so in blockchain development, we call those a faucet. A faucet is like a tab where you can get tokens from. So these websites are called faucet. So I'm going to show you how to get the Ethereum test tokens from the faucet over here. So on MetaMask, there is a way to get them. So there is a button over here where you find the faucet from MetaMask. So it should lead you to this website, where it's the default faucet for MetaMask. And then there should be a link on the left where it leads you to this, where you can just enter your Ethereum address and click the button, and you should get testnet tokens. So once you get testnet tokens, you should look like this on the MetaMask. You should see some Ethereum over there on the testnet. All right, so check that you have received tokens. And then only after you have received tokens, then you can deploy. Because when you deploy your smart contract, that requires gas fees, which is Ethereum. All right, so I'm going to show you how to deploy to Rinkeby. So on your command line, you should run truffle migrate -- network Rinkeby. So this -- means that I'm going to push the Rinkeby testnet. If not, it's going to assume that you're going to deploy locally, which is not what we are going to do. So it would try to compile your smart contracts and then do the migration. It would take about 30 seconds to 1 minute, and I'm not able to show you the whole the number of messages that goes on after this. So you should see something like that: starting migrations towards network Rinkeby, and the block gas limit, and many other things after that. So after you deploy, you should see the smart contract on the blockchain itself. You can go to Etherscan directly and find the address. So for the purpose of this workshop, I've actually deployed it on live on Rinkeby itself. So the address is over here. You can scan the QR code at the bottom right to access the URL directly. You should see a smart contract over here. So that's deployed, I think, last week when I was preparing for this workshop. All right, so do that, and then you can see for yourself on the Etherscan. So next, I'm going to summarize what we have learned today. So we have figured out what the token really is on the blockchain. So it's nothing other than a smart contract. That's what it is. Nothing super complex or nothing very difficult. It's a smart contract. That's it. And then I'm showing you how to deploy a token smart contract to Rinkeby. And then I briefly introduced the development tools that you will need to use when developing a smart contract on the Ethereum ecosystem. So I think that's it. And for the last slide, I need to share that we are hiring for multiple roles. So we're hiring for blockchain engineers. Blockchain expertise or knowledge is not required at Propine. We will help you get up the curve. So for us, we do not require blockchain knowledge. We require very good software engineering skills, not blockchain knowledge. All right. So we're also looking for a security architect. So if you are interested, please apply on the website over here. The link is shown in the QR code. Please scan it, and then we'll be delighted to respond to you. All right. So I'm moving on to the next section, the last section, which is our Q&A. So Amos, you can take over.
Sure. Thanks a lot for the sharing, Zen and Ian. So I think everyone was very excited. There are a couple of questions. So even though there are really a few, I just have to highlight the top few questions for our speakers today. So with the very first one, I think it's a very good opening question. It's how does one get started, in blockchain? And are there certifications available for blockchain? And if so, what are they? So Zen or Ian, either of you can just hop into it.
I can probably start this.
Sure, Ian.
I guess it depends where you're coming from. So for those people who are listening to this presentation, number one, it's because there's always I would actually divide it into two buckets or two different paths that that leads back to how you can actually get started on blockchain. One is the technology path, that means that you go through proper training and proper education to become a blockchain engineer. Then the other path is you can still be part of the blockchain industry through, of course, the the whole other rest of the areas that promotes blockchain, for example, sales, marketing, business development, and so on and so forth. So I think this question is very general, but because I come from a marketing background, so what I did was, just go and take certifications. You're absolutely right. So in Singapore, you can try, I think the Blockchain Association of Singapore, they have several courses that are available. I did the one which is the Global Blockchain Association. And that one is, of course, the timing of those certifications are very late at night, like 11 o'clock in the evening, and it lasts until like 1, 2 a.m. Singapore time. So, and the other thing also is I chanced upon, or I was given an opportunity to work with the Singapore FinTech Festival, where I was a marketing lead. So I'm able to get involved in the blockchain industry. So I wouldn't say there's one size fits all, but I feel that most important is if you are passionate about this, and regardless of which path you want to choose, if you are already studying or a programmer, or you are already a programmer, or you are already in the blockchain industry, or you are an engineer sort of path that you want to go towards, to good for you. And I think, but if let's say that doesn't mean that for people like the marketing and the sales and the rest that who wants to go into this industry will have another path as well, as I mentioned. So.
Yeah, I definitely love it. Like, as what we always say in deep tech, there's many ways to get involved. You can be involved, like what you did, marketing in the blockchain sector for an event itself, or if you want to pursue your interest, you can go and get certifications in blockchain specifically. So it's great to know there are many different ways into it. So maybe I'll hop into the next question, and that's from Barrow. So Barrow, thanks for your question. This is more related to the industry itself. So security is a high concern with regards to blockchain, understandably. So how would industry players try to improve or overcome this concern based on your insights into blockchain? Do you have any thoughts on this topic?
Zan, you want to take this?
Okay, security. Security is a very big topic. It is a concern. I would think that, because why is it a concern is because once you lose the private key, you literally lose the control to access. So there are many different ways where security is being looked at the blockchain industry. I would think that over the years, we have gained a much better understanding of how to manage the keys. So for example, we are using many different, we have a very complex, or rather say very secure solution that secures the private keys. And so the question is more like, how does the industry player improve or overcome the concern? I think there are many ways. So one is to go for security audits. There are professional security auditors that look through your smart contracts and make sure there are no vulnerabilities. And they actually test through the right tests. They actually try to hack it and make sure that the smart contracts are impenetrable. That's one way. So if you can get your smart contracts audited, that's one. Next, then you can go for your regular cybersecurity checks that test your solution. They will happily certify you that your solution is secure. And then that's on the solution side of things. And then on the processes, which is also as important, people and processes is just as important. You can actually go for the standard ISO certification that certifies your processes, that ensures that you're following the right processes and step procedures to make sure that there are no gaps in the way you operational, day-to-day operations that handles these private keys. So once you have that, you should give the customer or other industry players a peace of mind that that the company is doing the right thing to secure their keys. So that's how I would approach the problem security. So hopefully that answered the question.
I think if I may chime in also, it's besides private keys, there are certain companies now are deploying new technology, which is what they term as the MPC protocols, right, Zan? Which is they eliminate the concept of private keys, so you don't even have to worry about that kind of security. So of course, that there are some of these that are already on the back, and then the whole community is, especially those people who believe in this technology or this solution, are working towards to improve its application. Yeah.
Sure. Thanks to both for chiming in on the security question. So we have another one from Shrenton. So it's a bit of an open question, but how I interpret this question as the real power of blockchain lies in consensus. So I think what Shrenton might mean is that consensus among different key stakeholders like government players as well as people on the ground. So do you think that the hype around cryptocurrencies, whether it's in mainstream discourse or whether it's with the government players, have distorted expectations of blockchain?
I think that I always believe in the education-based kind of approach when it comes to understanding what blockchain and the difference between blockchain and cryptocurrency. So what I'm trying to say is there is a lot of hype. There's no truth there, especially in Bitcoin as the prices goes up so significantly. But just recently, which was last week, one of the regulators from Thailand, which is SEC Thailand, has made it compulsory for people who are interested to invest in Bitcoin to actually study. And the course is actually by one of the association that it's approved by SEC of Thailand. So what I'm trying to tell you is that don't believe or don't read too much and believe in the hype so much. Understand that what the difference between cryptocurrency and blockchain, and regardless of which area you're interested, whether it's in cryptocurrency or blockchain, most important, it's understand the technology behind. And I always believe that some people think that, oh my God, I can make a quick, quick buck here. While the rest, some say that, oh, it's a scam. But, my personal thought is that blockchain is not a scam. It is a technology. And I always been getting this. It's like, oh, Ian, you're in cryptocurrency. It is it a scam and all that? And don't believe that until you actually study it and read it. So I don't think that they have distorted their expectation only if you let it. So which means that if you believe in the hype, I think a lot of us, especially in the industry, we don't believe in hype because we understand the product fully. So by saying such is that go and understand the technology better. And if not, then of course then you will be part of the group that believes in the hype and therefore have distorted expectations. Yeah.
Sure, I love it. So basically, don't just look at the hype, understand the technology and learn about it. Don't just listen to people, but actually get to understand the applications of blockchain itself. Yeah, I think that's a very applicable skill as well. The last question I think we can take for today, it's actually pertaining to the jobs that I think I think Zen was talking about. So someone was asking, does that person have to be certified in blockchain before applying for the jobs? So I believe Zen was saying no, right?
No.
Yeah. So I think that the world of deep tech is very, very diverse, open, and inclusive, especially. So if you're looking to apply for a job with a Propine in blockchain in deep tech, I would say just go for it. There are many ways, like Ian has shared, like Zen has shared. I'll just be willing to experiment, to explore, just follow that interest. So I think that's all we can do for today. Thank you, Zen and Ian. Thanks for the eye-opening sharing and a very timely one, especially with all the rave about Bitcoin and NFTs. So next up, we actually have the next workshop, which is My Career in Data. And that is from beginner to lifelong learning happening at 1:30. But in the meantime, don't forget to check out our jobs and opportunities at the Jobs Portal Pavilion and say hi to our exhibitors in the exhibition hall. So you can rack up some points for the Engage and Win challenge, and I hear there's some exciting prizes to be won. So don't miss out on this chance, and we'll see you shortly. If you are interested to get in touch with our speakers as well, they have their speaker bio uploaded, and it's all located under the speakers tab. So do take the chance to explore around, and we'll see you for the next session at 1:30.